Kathleen knows what to do. And membership or member foundation giving to date, so far this quarter we have $1,350, so we're doing well there. Our club project, our next project is the dictionary project, and we'll have the sticker party. That will be announced very soon, so stay tuned for that. I have some Rotary trivia for you. See if you can guess the answers to these questions. Just feel free to shout it out. First one is the largest number of members we've ever had in this club.
182.
Close, not 182, a little bit less. A little higher.
180.
Close, it's 176. Average age to join. What do you think the average age is that we get members to join? Very close, a little higher. Actually, it's 42 and a half. Who's had the longest membership of any member in our club? Warren Berry. Almost 60 years. 59 years, 7 months, and 1 day today. The oldest member. Does anybody know the oldest member? He's one of them. There's a tie. Ed. We've got Ed and Armour. How many members in our club are in their 80s?
176.
176. 11. Who's the youngest member, currently a member, the youngest member to join Rotary? It could be someone else who's older now. Wasn't Armour. Jeff Harris, 25 years, 6 months, and 7 days. Does anybody want to guess who the second youngest member to join that's still a member? It's not Dustin. It's not Zach. Rich Stivers, 26 years, 2 months, and 12 days. Good guess. Who's the youngest woman to join our Rotary Club?
All of them.
Good answer. Your wife would like that answer. Michelle Costa, 26 years, 6 months, 15 days. How many women do we have in our club currently?
17.
Close.
18.
19. Very close. And that's 15.8%. Okay, did well on that quiz. We have with us today a very special guest. It's our district governor, Kathleen Simko. Rather than tell you about her, we thought we would show you some things about her.
That works for me.
Rather than show you about Kathleen Simko, we thought we would tell you something about her. What you were seeing before it went off is the pets training, the ropes, which was the ropes course out at CSI. I don't know if we're going to be able to see it now. Try one more time.
Hey man, slow down. We're at the building. Alright, so we have to get it up first. Question! Question!
Watch yourself, we're going your way. Are we? I think so. All right. Straight ahead. I told you we were going your way.
So you gotta go straight, correct? We're doing the same thing, going down and back. We have to say, correct?
Where are you going, guys? Are you going forward?
Well, yeah.
And if we lost the ball,
Oh, we almost made it.
Is that all we had to do?
what is that? Stabbo's going to run us into the wall. Are you guys doing okay?
You have a helmet?
feet, get it flat, and look at your shoulders.
Exactly.
Your shoulders under.
Okay, do not touch that.
I agree. Don't touch it. Yeah, let go. Let go so you don't touch the
Got her
fence.
head.
Be careful. I got the shoulders. Got it.
Okay.
She's good.
Oh, I get all of her right there.
To be uncomfortable so you can't breathe, but you want to be able to have it tighten up and you don't feel like it's going to fall off on you, okay? Hit yourself first.
The only thing that's not an option is sitting out. Okay, if you don't.
Are you going to shout out my directions, or I'm communicating?
Fray in it up here.
I'm going to be communicating with you. Okay.
You've got 2, 4, 3.
Oh, she can do it.
Okay, let up a little bit. Now you might need to pull a little bit there. Okay.
So when you're ready.
That's steady. That's.
We're supposed to be this way. So we're
Other side.
okay, here.
Can I go on this side?
Yes. Climb on.
Whoa.
There you go. Very nice. You, so it doesn't help you as much as the feet does. Use your hand. There you go.
It's squashing my boob. My ball.
Kathleen?
You have to jump up. Okay, keep your feet out and your hands out. Using that bumpers, and you're going to come down the pole.
Thank you all.
Si tu la parla miezza americano, quando si fa l'amore si fa luna, come te viene in cave di I love you. Papà l'americano.
Shared something that my granddaughter said, and I wanted to share it with you because it's self-deprecating, so it makes fun of me, but it's also real life. And so my granddaughter Sophie is 8, and she is probably, Terry knows, an extremely part of my world. Sophie's grandma's buddy, and so a friend of my daughter Sarah, a friend of hers was over at the house, and he had gotten injured on his leg or something, and it had become infected, and so he was changing the bandage, and it was not looking very good. This happened during the week. And Sophie was very intently watching him. And Brandon was telling her what had happened, and that he had to take the medication and everything, and his leg was all red and swollen. It had goo coming out of it, and he was changing the dressing. I mean, the picture was not great. And Sophie's just in there looking and wanting to know everything. And so he turns to her and he says, "Sophie, doesn't this gross you out?" And without missing a beat, she says, "No, I've seen Grandma naked." So, so she and I are going to have a little chat when I get home. But I thought,
gentlemen, our District Governor, Kathleen Simko.
Thank you. Yeah, you did. I'm sorry you had to see that. Thank you. It was interesting, Kevin. Thanks for reliving all my horror memories, and that'll make sense when I make some comments here in a little bit. Wiley, thank you so much, and the board members that were there last night. We had a great meeting. It was probably one of the best club discussions that I've had. There are some fabulous people in this organization who have some ideas to take this club into its next 100 years, which your anniversary will occur in the not too distant future. And I appreciate the time that they took last night. I want to talk to you just a little bit today about some things that are important to me. Somebody asked me if I was going to give you the business. I'm not going to talk about Rotary business per se. Ben calls it sort of a pep talk, but I just kind of want to give you some thoughts or some background on me and why I'm here and why I let myself get talked into those things. Ben who? Ben is my husband. So when I was a little girl, I was in Girl Scouts. And no offense to anybody that's a Girl Scout or been in Girl Scouts or loved a Girl Scout, but to me the Girl Scouts were a little boring. I grew up in a big family. I already had to learn to sew and cook and take care of my brothers and sisters. And that's what Girl Scouts got merit badges for. And I already had to do those things, and they were called chores. I wanted to be a Boy Scout. In the worst way, I wanted to be a Boy Scout. Boy Scouts had fun. They got to build fires. They got to tie knots. They got to go camping. So I bought a Boy Scout manual, and I learned the Boy Scout pledge, and I was convinced that I could be a Boy Scout. And I found out I couldn't, and I was devastated. Now today that might be a little different, but way back then, before the Caitlyns were even a gleam in their mother's eye, girls couldn't join Boy Scouts. But one of the things that I did in reading the Boy Scout manual was I learned a new word. And I love the dictionary project that Rotary clubs do. It's near and dear to my heart because when I was little and every time I wanted to know what something meant or how to spell something, my mother sent me to the dictionary and made me look it up. And so she made me look up this word, and the word was integrity. And I wanted to know what it meant. I liked the sound of it, and when I read it, I liked the definition even more. So when I was 14, integrity became the first of my guiding principles that I created, that I decided I was going to live my life by. And over the years, I added more, and I had 6 by the time I was 20. And about 30-some years ago, when I met my husband, Ben, I added a 7th. And the 7th one that I added was humor. Yeah. Well, I had to have extreme patience because your humor is not always very funny. But in any case, I added my 7th guiding principle. And so my life for the last 35 years has been led with these guiding principles. And they are integrity, balance, wisdom, empathy, courage, grace, and humor. If you saw that video, you know I have no grace. And if you saw the first part, it took a little bit of courage for me to get up on that pole. Integrity is the guiding principle that you never compromise. Whether it's what would my mom think about what I had done, or how would this look above the fold of the local newspaper, integrity is something you can never compromise. And when I look at myself in the mirror every morning, I have to like and respect the person that looks back at me. And if you compromise your integrity, the picture doesn't look so good. Now, I know that some of those are a little hard to accomplish, and probably like many of you in the room, for me, balance is the thing that I struggle with the most. There's only 24 hours in each of our day. If you've got more time than that, I want to talk to you after the meeting because I think I have a fundraiser. But we all only have that same 24 hours. We have demands on our time from family obligations, work, hobbies, church, Rotary, other volunteer things that we're in. It never seems like there's enough time in the day to fit everything in. Ben told me one time, your problem is you want it all. And you can have it all. You just can't have it all at the same time. So some of those are a little harder to achieve. But Rotary is important to me, and Rotary is important to you. That's why you're here today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Rotary and why it's important to me. And the other thing that's very important to me are people. I'm going to start with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, who said, "The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." And what I like about that quote is it sort of sounds like the Rotary motto of service above self. You find who you are when we serve others, and Rotary allows us an opportunity to do that. Now, whether you realize it or not, anybody know how many districts there are in the world? Richard, you can't cheat. There are 33,000 plus Rotary clubs, and they roll up into 530 districts. And every year in January, 530 district governors that are coming in to their office go to San Diego. Now, San Diego in January, you're thinking, gee, that's a tough job. But it really, really was intense. There's 530 people from all over the globe. It looks like a little mini UN, and they keep you busy morning, noon, and night. You better be where you're supposed to be when they have you scheduled in a room and a seat, or they will come and find you. And two things happen at the International Assembly that I want to talk to you about. One of the things that happen is the president introduces their theme, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. The other thing that happens is that the president of Rotary International introduces the district governor blazer. Now, you've had some district governors from this club in the past, so you've probably seen them. Now, frankly, sometimes they're ugly. They have been checked and houndstooth. And one meeting I was at, there were 3 guys in the room, and I thought, oh my gosh, they've all won the Masters Golf Tournament because their jackets were all that green color from the Masters Golf Tournament. So last June, I had to order my jacket, and it was $300. And I'm a little frugal, and I decided I don't want to spend $300 for a blazer that might be ugly and that I may not wear beyond the year that I'm district governor. So I didn't order a jacket or a blazer. But you notice I have one on. It's not ugly, is it? Okay. There's something unique and different about my blazer. Now, when Callion introduced the blazers, they were gray, and they were nice fabric. But this isn't gray. Something different about it. And I walked around and tried to meet everybody when you came in so that I'd give you a chance to look at my name tag, maybe check out my blazer. Did anybody notice anything different or unusual about my blazer? Sleeves are a little long. It's a man's blazer. It buttons on the opposite side, but most of you guys probably wouldn't notice that. You're all men. It looks like it buttons on the right side. There's something different about my blazer. Wiley? What does my blazer say?
District 540 USA.
District 540 USA. What district are we? What does that tell you about my blazer? It's old. I've had guesses that it's not yours. Yeah, it's mine. It wasn't a second. I didn't get it at a discount. I am thrifty. It is my blazer, and it is old, and the reason it's old is because about 18 years ago, Rotary International changed computer systems. And we used to be District 540, and we became District 5400. There had to be 4 digits in the district. And this was my blazer, and I wore it morning, noon, and night 20 years ago when I was your GSE team member, and I spent a month in Sweden. And I wore it to Rotary Club presentations and on vocational day visits and all the things that we get to do as a group study exchange team member. And when I came back, it went in the closet, and it has hung there for 20 years before the Caitlins were born. I'm pleased it still fits, first of all, but I thought it was appropriate that I bring it out and use it during my district governor year because it's very special to me, because it was the blazer that introduced me to Rotary. And I became a Rotarian before I joined Rotary, because on that GSE team experience, that's when Rotary entered my heart and became part of my passion. Now, some of you have been to district conference. It's just up the road, kind of in your own backyard. And one of the things that happens at district conference is that the youth exchange and the GSE give their presentations. They're usually some of the most popular events because I think we've had a chance to have these young students in our lives and young professionals in our homes, and we get to know them on a little bit more personal basis, and they become friends. And it makes the world just a little bit smaller than what we live in our community. And so we came back from Sweden. There were 4 women, and we lived all across the state, and we had to put together a presentation. How were we going to share with the Rotarians who sent us on a life-changing experience something that was that profound in 20 minutes? I'm going to pick on Brooke. She looks like she is a youth exchange team member rather than Rotarian. So she's so young that she doesn't realize it. But before we had digital cameras, we had this stuff called film. And we had to take the film to the store and have the photographs developed. And after they were developed, we had to put them in something called a carousel to do a slide presentation because we didn't have PowerPoint, Brooke. This was a long time ago. So these 4 women had to get together and decide over 800 photos which ones we were going to use in our presentation. And when we got ready to give it, I realized that unlike the other women, all of my photos were different. Because all of my photos were unique in that they weren't pictures of clubs that we visited or factories that we toured or museums and cultural events we attended or Viking burial mounds or the lakes of Sweden. All of my photos, without exception, were photos of people. Because for me, it was the people that I encountered that had the greatest impact on my experience. I had come a long way. I didn't speak the language. I didn't know the culture. I didn't know their government. And Rotarians, without exception, welcomed me into their clubs, welcomed me into their homes, into their places of business, and welcomed me into their heart. And I felt connected and I felt loved. So for me, it was that experience that I knew was going to shape my destiny. I knew that I was going to be part of the Rotary family. And 2 weeks after district conference, on June 1st, 1991, I joined Rotary and became a Rotarian. And I just celebrated my 20th anniversary. And I'm very pleased and proud to be standing in front of you today as the district governor. I'm still trying to figure out what meeting I missed that got me here, because don't miss a Rotary meeting, I'll tell you that. They give you a job. But I am pleased and proud and honored beyond description to be serving in that role. Now, the other thing that happens at Rotary Assembly is that the president introduces their theme. Kalyan Banerjee, anybody know where our president's from this year? India. Okay. He is very intelligent, very articulate, but a very humble man. And when he introduced his theme, if you can see the banner, it's concentric hearts. And the hearts open. And his theme is reach within to embrace humanity. I love the theme because I think it crosses cultures, I think it crosses borders, it crosses religions. It's something that everyone can relate to. We can all reach within ourselves to embrace our brothers and sisters that are all part of the human race. And when he introduced his theme, he went on to say something else. And Kalyan said, we may not always be able to do great things, but we can always do small things with great love. And I decided I wanted to live out my district governor year and live up to his challenge. Now, you noticed I didn't eat lunch today. Maybe you noticed that. And it wasn't because I don't like food. I just finished my 20th marathon a few weeks ago. I love to eat. I run so that I can eat more. It's a means to an end. So, and I was hungry, and it looked good, but I didn't eat because I decided that during my Rotary year, I am going to forgo the meals at the Rotary clubs. And I asked Wiley to pay me the money that you would have to pay for my meal instead of feeding me. So, do you have my allowance? Oh, come on. We talked about this last night. We'll just pretend. Write an IOU, please, for whatever my lunch would be. And I'm going to put it in my official Rotary lunchbox, okay? This is my official Rotary lunchbox. And I'm going to ask you all to share in Kalyan's challenge of doing something small with great love. And I'm going to ask you to contribute in my lunchbox. We're going to pass it around. And I'm going to give it back to you. But I'm going to give it back to you with a condition. Richard, could you start circulating it, please? No, don't put that in there. That's something different. That's something different. That's something different. The change for change is different than my lunchbox. Because I'm going to give this back to your club when you're done. And you can put paper in there since you already put your change in the bucket. But you can put an IOU, you can put a check. But my goal is that I want you to share in putting something in my lunchbox, and then I'm giving it back to you, and you as a club or the board can choose to use it. But it has to be used for some effort that works to feed hungry in your community. Because whether you know it or not, every day someone in your own backyard is hungry. Children look forward to school not for the opportunity to learn, but because they get 2 meals a day. And sometimes when there's summer break, they're lucky to get 1. Seniors in our community have to choose between their medication and their food because they can't afford both. And parents go to bed without enough to eat so their children can have enough. And in this day and in this country, that's just not right. So I'm asking you to do something small with great love, and this will come back to your community, and you can choose to use it in some way that benefits your neighbor, your coworker, someone that is hungry, a homeless shelter, senior center, Meals on Wheels, faith-based community soup kitchen. It doesn't matter. Just use it somehow to benefit those in our own community. Now, the other thing I just want to talk about is how diverse our district is. We've visited about 38 of the 44 clubs, and we have big clubs and we have small clubs. And we have club members that are 102. In Caldwell, there's a gentleman who's 102, and he comes to Rotary every week as long as someone picks him up because he doesn't drive anymore. And we have 25-year-old club members. We have clubs that choose big service projects on an international or local basis, and others that choose to do small things that make a difference. What we have in common, though, is that we do something. We are Rotarians because we make a difference. We choose to use our time, our money, our passion to make a difference in the life of someone who is less fortunate than we are. And as you all woke up this morning in a country that offers us so many freedoms and opportunities, there are people who live in conditions with no potable water, no access to sanitation, and limited or no opportunities for self-sufficiency or employment. And as we sit here this afternoon and enjoyed our lunch and the company of our fellow Rotarians and friends, a mother and her child were searching through a dump for their next meal because that's where their food comes from. And when you go home later tonight and you have a roof over your head and a bed to sleep in, somewhere in the world, a child will have contracted polio. And if she lives, it's unlikely she will walk without the aid of some kind of support. And perhaps she will be shunned by her family. Because who would want to marry her? How will she survive? How will she provide for herself? Every day, every hour, every minute, across the globe, even in your own backyard, millions of people live in darkness. They have no food, no shelter, no water, no opportunity, no education, and they have no hope. And that is their darkness, no hope. And that is what we as Rotarians can offer, because that is what we as Rotarians are so good at doing. We can offer hope to those that have none. And it's within your power and your ability to help shine a light into the darkness that surrounds our brothers and sisters across the street, across the country, or across the globe. And I even would be so bold as to suggest it's not just an opportunity, it's an obligation that we have to, as Callion challenges us, reach within to embrace humanity. You know, our district has been around a long time. I'm humbled to be a part of those who have stood before you in a leadership capacity. And I know that somewhere in this room, there's a future district governor in waiting. There's no way for me to describe the honor and the privilege I feel at being able to serve this year. I'm committed to helping you as a member, you as a club, and us as a district to being bigger and better and bolder than we've been in the past. There are so many opportunities that can make a huge impact. My challenge to each of you is find one that speaks to you. Find one that touches your heart or lights that fire in your belly. And reach within yourself, deep within yourself, to make that difference. I began by sharing my thoughts this afternoon with a quote from Mahatma Gandhi, and I'm going to conclude with another of my favorites from him. He said, "We must be the change we wish to see in the world." And I challenge each of you to shine a light somewhere in the world and be the change that you wish to see. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your attention. I thank you for your commitment to Rotary, and most of all, I thank you for your service above self.
Kathleen and Ben, thank you very much. She's right. We had a great meeting last night. We'll share some of the results of that meeting with you in meetings to come. But we do want to present Ben and Kathleen with this banner.
Great.